Sprint 15, Leading from Idea to Mature Enterprise. Keeping with the metaphor we used in Sprint 14 of waking up finding yourself at the control of an airplane, in this sprint we describe how to pilot the takeoff, climb, cruise, and landing of your enterprise. The takeoff, climb, cruise, and landing correspond to 4 very specific stages of enterprise maturity. In the previous sprint, you learned about the 3 essential flight controls: projects, processes, and culture. Without understanding how these controls work and how to pilot your enterprise through the 4 stages, expect poor performance and then failure. The following article describes each stage, when it starts and when it finishes, and most importantly, it identifies the tricky aspects of leading a team and enterprise through all 4 stages. Understanding How You Lead from an Idea to a Fully Mature Enterprise. Written and read by Derek Liedau.
The growth of an idea into a value-producing and self-sustaining enterprise occurs in 4 distinct stages. These stages manifest themselves because the projects, processes, and cultures we described in Sprint 14 do not just materialize. They must be created in a certain order, subject to highly constrained resources. If they're created in the wrong order, at the wrong times, then the entire enterprise is stunted, unproductive, and culturally problematic. This is analogous to what would happen if you were to raise an infant, a young child, or an adolescent without sensitivity for the needs of each particular stage of the young person's life. The 4 stages of enterprise maturity are customer validation. This stage starts when someone commits to forming an enterprise around an idea, and it ends when a customer commits to using the product or service. Operational validation. Stage 2 starts with the customer committing to use the product or service. The stage progresses as the team confirms through a series of projects that customers are finding happiness in the product or service, and that the team can deliver it reliably and therefore determine exactly how much money customers will gladly pay in return. This stage ends when basic processes are used to 1. Deliver the product, 2. To ensure the customers are satisfied, 3. To capture new customers, and 4. To simply administrate the enterprise. In other words, pay employees and bills, manage inventory, purchase supplies, keep basic accounting records, among other tasks. Financial validation. Stage 3 starts when the value proposition has been confirmed and basic processes are reliably in place to deliver the product, to capture and satisfy customers, and to administrate the enterprise. This stage ends when the company is able to produce consistent value under stressful competitive and economic conditions. This requires it operates with scalable processes that manage all aspects of the enterprise and with no process relying on any single individual. Stage 4, self-sustainability. Stage 4 starts when the leader of a stable and highly competitive enterprise initiates a project to create an innovative new product or service that captures new customers. Stage 4 does not start automatically when Stage 3 ends. For many enterprises, it starts years after Stage 3 has ended, or never starts at all. Stage 4 ends when the new product or service produces consistent value for the enterprise and a process has been established to produce more innovative products. Once Stage 4 is completed, the startup leader has successfully created a self-sustaining, value-producing enterprise. Every enterprise must go through each stage to progress to the next. Attempting to jump past any stage results in an unstable foundation of projects, processes, and culture, which in turn leads to financial and cultural dysfunction. Enterprises cannot mature from one stage to another without their leadership maturing as well. Enterprises often stunt the growth and maturity of their enterprises by selfishly refusing to change their leadership style as required by the stage of maturity, or by their wanting to leap over stages to work on innovative ideas that should necessarily wait for the final stage. Here are other things leaders must understand about each stage of enterprise maturity. Stage 1, customer validation. All activities in this stage are organized as a master project, focused on developing a specific product or service that an actual customer is willing to use or pay for. If the product or service is complicated, then there may be several different teams working on different aspects of the product design and how it is actually produced and delivered. The founder must also focus on finding and working with potential customers until one customer commits. A nascent culture, as described in Sprint 14, forms during this stage based upon how the team perceives the founder makes decisions and rewards independent actions. People are easily motivated to help create a new enterprise. The finances of the enterprise are controlled simply with the equivalent of a checkbook. The work done in completing sprints 2 through 6 result in moving through the first part of this stage by thinking through possible answers to 5 key questions around how to find and get your first customer. Who will want to buy your product? Why will they want to buy your product? How can they know they want to buy your product? Where will they buy your product? And how much will they be willing to pay? Completing stage 1 requires you move beyond just thinking whether your idea could work and sustain a real business. It requires that you create an actual prototype of your product or service that is compelling enough to get a customer to commit to using it and then to pay for it. We can soon lead you through this process as we are creating a series of sprints on that exact subject. Stage 2, operational validation. The activities of this stage are organized as at least 3 projects with a mission to establish processes for 1, delivery of the product, 2, finding and satisfying customers, and 3, administrating the enterprise. Another project may be necessary to set up a process to deal with special regulatory requirements. The entrepreneur can only know how to design and implement the 3 core processes after they have actual customers from whom they can understand exactly what about the product or service and how it is delivered is making them happy, and how to use that understanding to find more customers. Sprints 2 through 6 were an educated guess, and you got more information with prototyping. But before you go investing time and money into creating productive and reliable delivery and sales processes, you need to deeply understand the nature of the value you are delivering. Leading through stage 2 is tricky because it starts out by creating and leading projects, and in the middle requires a transition to value being created by processes. It is during this stage 2 the founders are at greatest risk of being fired by their VCs. Successful leaders cannot mess this transition up. We plan to create a sprint dedicated to how to lead through it, but you can access this Harvard Business Review article in the meantime. Go to hbr.org and search for Surviving a Startup's Transition from Projects to Processes. Stage 3, financial validation. In stage 3, all the stage 2 processes must be redesigned to be more productive, more robust, and more flexible. This stage is about positioning the company to be able to produce consistent value under stressful competitive and economic conditions by operating with scalable processes that manage all aspects of the enterprise with no process relying on any individual. The enterprise is led based on continual review of operational, customer, and financial metrics and a forecast of operational, customer, and financial performance. the enterprise is controlled based on a forecast of profits or fiscal surpluses. The strategic imperative of stage 3 is to create a sustainable balance in the enterprise's processes between effectively generating significant value and being flexible enough to meet the expectations of existing and potential customers. Finding the proper balance requires making forecasts on how revenues and costs can change with time, economic conditions, added investment, and competitive pressure under any number of conditions that may be specific to the marketplace or regulatory environment. The company culture solidifies during this stage around how processes are managed and how rewards are distributed throughout the enterprise. In stage 3, it is particularly important for the startup leader to create opportunities and support for career advancement. A final tricky aspect of stage 3 is that the enterprise must be able to operate without the specific involvement of any one person. Founders sometimes do not want to give up control of a specific operation, which stunts the growth and adds great risk to the enterprise ever being self-sustaining. Restaurants, fashion houses, art galleries, and businesses based upon scientific discoveries of a founder often face this challenge. Growth is stunted, and the enterprise is only valuable after the founder dies, and only if all the other processes are in place and work without the founder's direct involvement. Stage 4, self-sustainability. Stage 4 starts when the leader initiates a project to create an innovative new product or service that captures new customers. It doesn't end until some new product or service produces consistent value for the enterprise using a process that creates and produces more innovative products. The strategic imperative of stage 4 is for the enterprise to implement a process that enables itself to be renewed. This renewal can come in the form of introducing significant new types of products, making major leaps in existing capabilities that set new product or service benchmarks, creating new business models, or opening up entirely new markets. Innovation can also come through acquiring innovative enterprises and preserving their innovative culture. Without renewal, the customer base will atrophy, and the enterprise will lose its relevance and therefore its ability to sustain itself. The startup's leader's biggest challenge in stage 4 is to ensure that the enterprise's culture is equally supportive of innovators and those who want to improve efficiency. Culture change is hard. Ideally, the startup leader has nurtured key innovative individuals, being successful in creating processes that were efficient, who can now be given the opportunity to be more broadly innovative. In stage 4, career tracks must be modified to provide equally motivating autonomy and mastery opportunities for those innovative individuals who want to change everything, and those enormously productive people who want to continue improving what they already do. Once an enterprise has completed stage 4, it's a fully mature and is a very valuable enterprise. Next steps. You now have an overview of how to pilot a startup from takeoff, climb, cruise, and landing. There are countless changes to be implemented at specific times in specific ways to do this successfully. Over the course of 2026, we'll be creating stage-specific series of sprints to help you collect and assess the data critical to deciding on what to do next. The next sprints are focused on helping prepare you to go forward with confidence in assembling a team and creating a commercially viable prototype to get you through stage 1 and into stage 2.
Sprint exercise. Now that you've read or listened to our article, Understanding How You Lead from Idea to Fully Mature Enterprise in 4 Stages, You understand each of the 4 stages, when it starts and when it finishes. Most importantly, you understand the tricky aspects of leading a team and enterprise through all 4 stages. While you need to understand the big picture of what is ahead, the exercise for this sprint focuses on preparing how to successfully navigate the rest of stage 1. So, start with: describe a culture that aligns with the product you have in mind. What behaviors and activities do you specifically want to recognize and reward with your first teammates to start creating this culture? Then, describe what would be the goal of the project you put in place to create a commercially viable prototype of the product or service you have in mind. Last, make notes for yourself on which ducks described in Sprint 13 you feel will be particularly hard to align for your prototyping project.